Welcome to the DFAB RhinoCAM2 tutorials. Today we're going to be explaining parallel finishing. If you haven't viewed the roughing video, then please view that first. So now that we've done our horizontal roughing, you can see I'm going to hide my stock and hide my tool paths. So now I'm going to select my surface, go again to the Create tab, go to Parallel Finishing, similar menu to the roughing. I'm going to select the ball end. This is the only time that this tool will be selected for surfacing. We don't use it for anything else. Again, feeds and speeds, I'm going to do 20,000. And I'm going to do my plunge feeds at 50. Approach, engage, retract, departure, always 50. Our cut feed, I'm going to go down to 240. By going slower, it gives me a cleaner surface. You can go faster and save more time, but I want this surface to be smoother, so I have to do less preparation work after, or less post-mill work. The next is clearance. Again, we're going to do absolute Z of our material thickness, which was 2.75 plus ½ an inch, giving us 3.25. And now we can select skim. Skim we do at 0.0625, 16th of an inch. The skim plane allows us to save time. Now that we've roughed, the machine knows exactly where that surface is, so we don't have to concern ourselves with hitting the surface, so we use skim. So that'll save us some time, because parallel finishing is a time-costly operation. Again, cut parameters 001, 001, and 0. Our cut controls, mixed, climb down, conventional upcut. These, again, will give you a specific tooling pattern on your material. You can select different angles. This will rotate these tooling paths at, say, a 45 across the surface, or whatever degree you decide. That can add to the design. I'm going to go with 0. I want the lines to go horizontally with the length of the piece. And again, step over control. This is where you have a lot of play. Again, you don't want to go over 50%, but the lower you go, the smoother the surface is going to be. Because it's a ball end, it's going to have ridges in between the step overs. So the smaller the step over, the finer the ridges and the smoother the surface. I want this surface to be pretty smooth, so I'm going to go with 20%. You can go pretty low, but again, it adds time quite fast, so you can kind of play with that. Your Z container you don't need to worry about. Your entry exits, again, are always 0. Double check. Okay. Now we will, again, this should show our tooling paths. As you can see, it's tight to that surface, which is perfectly what we want it to be. So if you view here on the left, the RhinoCam window, we want to make sure that parallel finishing happens after horizontal roughing. So if you just click and hold down and drag, it moves that. So we want to make sure roughing happens first and then parallel finishing. So we'll go and we will, again, 1/4 inch ball end mill, feeds and speeds, double check. Clearance plane, double check, it's ½ inch. We can do skim plane only on parallel finishing. And our parameters, all 0s, and we're good to go. So now we'll minimize this. You can go to information. You can do this on any step. Go back here. If you right click on specifically horizontal roughing, you can go to information. It'll tell you it'll take 12 minutes to rough this entire thing. That's a pretty good time. If we go to parallel finishing, I'm going to guess that it's going to be quite a bit more. 24 minutes, yeah. So if you have a large surface, it's going to take a lot of time. So, I mean, these seem to be good speeds and good step overs. I would say that's a reasonable time for a piece as simple as this one is. So we'll minimize this. We'll go to simulate. Again, turn on our box stock, play. And it's going to show us that horizontal roughing and that parallel finishing immediately after. So right now it's hogging out that extra material of the stock that we created, getting us down to that doubly curved surface that we started with. It's always good to check this in case of clashes with the bit and the material, which will be highlighted in a broad red. The red lines, though, the line work is the travel of the bit, so don't concern with that. It will show this face here as red if there was a problem, or wherever the bit is hitting, it'll show as a large red plane. So now you can see it's moving that surface down to that curved, smooth surface that we want. And again, if 24 minutes is just too long for me, which is a reasonable time, but if I want it to go faster and I don't mind sanding after, I could step it up to a 50% step over, and that would decrease my time greatly. You know, if I want my surface to be smoother, I could decrease that percentage of step over and have a smoother surface that requires less sanding. I can rotate my orientation of the parallel finishing, so you can see this is 0 degrees here. If I were to do 90 degrees, it would have parallel finished in this direction. 45 would give you an angled, and it leaves a striation on the material. So if you want that, you can play with that. I'm going to stop it there. And so that is parallel finishing.